Sometimes the shift is sudden. A layoff, a reorg, a leadership change that leaves you on the outside of a role you once loved. Other times it's been building for a while, an ache for something more, even if you're not sure what that is. Whatever brought you to this point, the question now is, what do I do next? And how do I move forward without blowing up my life? This video is about rebuilding and reinventing strategically, calmly, and in a way that supports your real life. I'm going to walk you through 6 essential steps that help you stabilize, clarify, and begin again. Not from scratch, but from strength. So let's start by getting your mindset in the right gear, so your next move isn't just fast, it's smart. First, let's separate the desire for change from the impulse to escape. When something ends, especially an ending you didn't choose, your first instinct might be to fix it fast. Apply to 20 jobs in a day, say yes to the first offer, tell yourself you'll figure it out later. But rebuilding or reinventing well requires a shift from reacting to choosing. And you may be facing urgency, but you don't have to act from panic. The goal isn't just to move, it's to move with intention. Before you dive into job boards or rewrite your resume, stop and ask, am I running from something or am I moving towards something better? That one distinction can be the difference between another misaligned role and your next great chapter. And to move forward in a way that actually feels good, you need something else, a foundation of stability. So let's talk about what needs to stay solid while the rest evolves. Change feels chaotic when everything's negotiable. And that's why one of the most important things you can do right now is define your stability anchors. What are your non-negotiables? Maybe it's a baseline income to cover expenses, access to healthcare, time flexibility for your family, or emotional capacity to heal from burnout. Whatever it is, name it. These are not just nice to haves. They are the constants you will protect as you navigate the variables. And once you've named them, every opportunity, every path forward can be evaluated through that lens. You're not trying to rebuild your life on sand, you're rebuilding on bedrock. And once your foundation is clear, you can define what building back really means to you, especially in this season. Third, define success for this chapter. Here's where many women get stuck, trying to leap all the way into the next 10 years when what needs stabilizing is the next 10 weeks. Instead of focusing on your forever plan, focus on what success looks like right now. What would make the next 3 to 6 months feel purposeful, steady, and aligned? That might mean replacing your income with contract work while you figure out your long game. It might mean taking a role that gives you emotional breathing room, even if it's not your final destination. Or maybe it's carving out space to recover and reset before your next big move. When you define success for the season you're actually in, not some idealized version of the future, you can track progress in a way that feels motivating, not overwhelming. And now that you're working with a clearer goal, the next step is to take inventory. Let's look at what you already have to work with. So fourth is inventory your available resources. After a layoff or major shift, your brain tends to fixate on what's missing: the job, the income, the routine, the title. And if you're instead contemplating making a move, a reinvention, what you're considering still requires rebuilding. But rebuilding isn't just about filling gaps. It's about leveraging what's already there. So what do you have? A severance package, a flexible schedule, a deep network, marketable skills, visibility, a reputation for delivering results? This step is about getting honest and generous with yourself. Make a list, not to feel better, but to get strategic. You might be surprised how much you already have to build with. And once you know what tools are in your toolbox, it's time to decide how you'll use them. And that's where your personal decision filter comes in. I remember when I got laid off, before I'd even started the job, I was on a trip overseas and my soon-to-be boss tracked me down. I knew that couldn't be a good thing. When we finally scheduled a time to connect by phone, the news wasn't good. My new employer had been acquired and my new role, in fact, the entire team I was planning to join, had been eliminated. My new boss had kindly and heroically negotiated a small severance for me, which I am forever grateful for. It helped reduce my panic and it gave me some breathing room. What I did next was unexpected. I didn't rush out and start looking for jobs. And mind you, I had a ton of school debt and not working for an extended time was not an option. But with the severance, I decided to take a short break and do something just for me. And even though I was a grown up, I attended a Spanish language school and did a homestay in Puerto Rico for a few weeks. Why? Because I wanted to. And while it wasn't a life changing experience, it was great fun and allowed me to breathe while brushing up on my Spanish. And I knew that my next role probably wasn't going to be my forever role. So I took a job that addressed what I was solving for in that season, namely world class leadership training and professional development, experience that I could leverage for future opportunities, and a high enough salary to help me cover my living expenses while making a dent in my school loans. That enabled me to then leap into a lower salary role that allowed me to address what I was solving for in that season, namely my desire to spend time working in international development. I had different needs and criteria in different seasons. And that brings me to my next point. Fifth, create a personal decision filter. Let's talk about something that most advice skips over. Money stress doesn't disappear just because you've earned a strong salary. Even if you've had a stable, high earning role, the moment that income stops or feels at risk, the pressure can be intense. Mortgage payments or rent, healthcare, tuition, family responsibilities, it all adds up. And it adds your urgency to your decisions. But here's the nuance. Urgency doesn't mean you have to make choices that will ultimately make you miserable. In fact, the more pressure you're feeling, the more valuable it is to pause and get clear on what you actually need and want in your next step. And that's where a personal decision filter comes in. Think of it as a set of guideposts, your way of staying anchored when opportunities start to emerge and the temptation to grab anything that pays creeps in. Your filter might include a baseline salary or benefits requirement, yes, of course, but also look at schedule control, role scope, values alignment, growth potential, and energy drain. This isn't about creating a wish list. It's about protecting your most important priorities so you don't land somewhere that looks good on paper but drains you in practice. And here's something else to consider. Sometimes the smartest decision you can make is to buy yourself a little space through consulting, bridge income, or even investing in your own clarity and support. Choosing to slow down just enough to make a thoughtful decision isn't indulgent. It's strategic. It can prevent costly mistakes and set you up for a move that actually lasts. Money matters, but so does how you move through this. When you know your decision criteria, what's a non-negotiable, what's flexible, what's a trade-off worth making, you regain control. And from that place, it's a lot easier to move forward with confidence. So next, let's talk about how to make sure you're not just waiting for the perfect offer to land in your lap, but actively expanding the kinds of opportunities you're considering. So sixth, we're going to expand your sources of opportunity. When you're in between roles or ready to make a leap, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking there's one perfect path forward, another full-time job, and preferably yesterday. But rebuilding or reinventing your career can and often should include a wider lens. You might choose to pursue a W-2 role, but you can also explore contract work, fractional leadership, consulting, entrepreneurship, board service, teaching, or combining multiple income streams into a portfolio approach. This is also the time to activate your network. Reach out to colleagues, mentors, former clients, or industry peers. Let people know what you're exploring, not just what you're looking for. Post your point of view on LinkedIn. Make your expertise visible. And don't underestimate what's happening off the job boards. Local businesses, nonprofits, startups, and even past employers may have needs they haven't posted yet. You can become the solution they didn't know they were looking for. I've heard so many stories like this, guys. The more diverse your sources of opportunity, the more power you have to apply your decision filter wisely and build a career that fits your terms. Rebuilding and reinventing aren't about going back to what was. It's about designing what comes next with stability, clarity, and strategic momentum. You now have 6 foundational steps. Start by shifting from reaction to intention. Define what needs to stay stable. Set a success vision for this chapter and inventory your real resources. Build your decision filter and expand where you're looking for opportunity. This is how you start to rebuild or reinvent with confidence. This is how you lay the groundwork for smart, sustainable growth. In the next video, we'll go deeper into taking aligned action, how to build momentum through small steps, how to reframe your narrative for networking and interviews, and how to move forward even when the outcome isn't fully known. And if you want to go deeper, if you're craving guidance, structure, and a proven framework to help you make smart, high stakes decisions, I invite you to join me for the free masterclass, Get Unstuck and Move Forward with Confidence. The link's in the description. This work doesn't have to be heavy, and you don't have to do it alone. So let's rebuild and reinvent stronger, wiser, and fully on your terms.